Y'all, today's story is one of those cases that sounds so unbelievable that if it were a movie script, people would probably say it was too over the top. We're talking about a man accused of stealing human remains from one of America's most historic cemeteries. Not one skull, not a few bones. Investigators say they recovered more than 100 sets of human remains connected to this case. And the details? Absolute nightmare fuel. So grab your tea, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Because today's story takes us to a forgotten cemetery, crumbling mausoleums, and an investigation that police described as a horror movie come to life. This is Hold My Sweet Tea. Hello, I'm Holly.
And I'm Pearl. And gosh dang it, if we aren't always talking about a man.
A man. I told Pearl I was going to say man anticipation. But, not everybody thinks the way we do, so.
Not everyone loves Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Which they should.
Right.
But, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Or whiskey.
Right. We've seen a lot of ads for whiskey this week.
Yeah.
Like side of the road billboard signs.
Tons of whiskey.
We took a small road trip, so.
Yeah, a small round road trip to drop my son off for work.
Yeah, we drove for, I calculated out, it was 28 hours round trip.
And the most interesting thing we saw was Buc-ee's.
Yeah, we stopped 5 times at Buc-ee's.
It just became the gas and pee place.
It did. It was like perfectly placed. So, gas, pee, snacks, beaver nuggets.
Back on the road.
Back on the road. But we did get a little detour in like Louisville, Kentucky, which I must say was quite cute, except for those weird bridges.
Yeah, those weird bridges were something.
But like they had so much road construction that the GPS like lost its freaking mind and was like, turn here. And no, we didn't need to turn here.
Congratulations, you're in downtown.
Right. But it was so pretty.
It really was.
Yeah. So it was a nice little
we got to
refresher.
see a bunch of brownstones, which are really cool. They were really, really nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But we made it.
Y'all don't know that we love old houses.
Yes, we do. We're constantly sending each other like, look at this Victorian. It looks haunted. Let's get it. And yeah, we're constantly looking at old houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, being in New Orleans, the architecture here is just phenomenal.
Yeah,
but,
Spanish, French, God knows what else.
But sometimes getting out of here and seeing things like the brownstones and all that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it's nice to see like the different stuff in different areas. It's really, really cool.
Yep. Well, we're also taking a little trip with today's story, though.
Where are we going?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we weren't there. We weren't there. We didn't go there.
Close-ish, but not there. Yeah. So our story actually begins at the Mount Moriah Cemetery in Pennsylvania. And honestly, if you've ever seen photos of this place, it already looks like the setting of like a Gothic novel, which I am there for 100%. It was founded in 1855. It spans hundreds of acres and contains the graves of soldiers from multiple American wars, veterans from the French and Indian War, the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Civil War. Like,
That's a lot of people.
that's a lot of people in there. Like, generations of families were laid to rest here. Massive stone mausoleums, family vaults, historic monuments, a place where history and memory like intersect. But by late 2025, something strange was happening. And I heard about this story on TikTok. It kind of blew up on there and people were talking about it. There was a lot of misinformation.
Oh, fun.
So I have tried to dig all of the correct information out so I could put this episode out here. Because I'm like, well, that's not what the police report said that you just told on TikTok, but let's go. So volunteers from an organization called the Friends of Mount Moriah Cemetery began discovering signs of break-ins. Mausoleum doors were damaged. Vaults appeared to be disturbed. Burial sites had been entered. At first, nobody understood like the scale of what was happening. I guess they kind of chalked it up to just people doing stupid vandalism stuff
Like
that they
maybe
usually
kids or
do.
something?
Yeah, teenagers or young kids or, people in there just doing dumb stuff, which is usually what you would think of.
I mean, he did do dumb
Yeah, he
stuff.
did do dumb stuff. But he worked alone. So investigators would soon discover that someone wasn't vandalizing graves. Someone was allegedly taking the dead.
Woo.
Yeah. So in December of 2025, police received information that kind of changed everything about these tips and things that were coming in. According to investigators, a tipster claimed that a man named Jonathan Gerlach possessed human remains in his house.
Like, what you want that in there for?
So, like, when I first heard this, immediately Ed Gein came to mind. Because he would go take human remains, women, from there and had them all over his house. But this one's like a little bit different because it's in the now, And the allegations didn't stop there. Police reportedly learned of claims involving a partially decomposed corpse hanging in a basement. There were also allegations that human skulls may have been sold online to collectors. Now, at this point, investigators still needed evidence. Like, a tip is not proof. But police began digging deeper. They examined vehicle records, phone data, social media activity, placing him in different places. So they would match up with okay, well, somebody reported that this grave had been messed with, and all of a sudden they can, ping your phone and find out where you've been. According to court documents, investigators discovered online accounts allegedly connected the buying and selling of human bones. As detectives continued gathering information, they noticed something even more troubling. Evidence seemed to place Gerlach near multiple cemetery burglaries. So then came January of 2026. And this is the moment that the investigation really ramped up. According to police, officers arrived at the Mount Moriah Cemetery and they encountered Gerlach during an active burglary. So I guess they were trying to follow him a little bit to see
he got caught black-handed.
100%. Yes.
Let's be real here. Your hands are dirty.
Yes. So, and this wasn't like a search warrant. It wasn't months later arrest. Like, investigators caught him right there at the cemetery. And according to police reports, Gerlach was allegedly carrying a burlap sack. What was in that burlap sack, you ask? The mummified remains of 2 children.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Also recovered were skulls and other human bones, so just things that he had picked out of there, but he had the actual whole bodies of 2 children in a sack.
Yikes.
Like, I don't even know what I would do if I was that officer. Like, you go into police training and they train you for certain things. They don't train you for that. Because you would think no human would actually go out and do something like that. But they're out there. They're among us. All over the place.
I mean, is it really easier to go steal all this stuff and sell it than it is to get an actual job?
Like, yeah. And you're standing in like this historic cemetery looking at evidence that sounds like it belongs in a horror film. So police immediately arrested Gerlach, but the investigation was just beginning because investigators still had not searched his property. And what they found next would make national headlines. The following day, authorities executed search warrants at Jonathan's residence and a nearby storage unit, because you know they always got a storage unit.
Y'all.
What they reported finding shocked even experienced investigators. There's a video that's circulating out there of some body cam footage, and it's gross. It's nasty. According to police, more than 100 human remains were discovered. Skulls, bones, mummified hands, feet, partial remains, children, adults. Some of them were displayed openly. Some were reportedly hanging. Like somebody had reported he's got a body hanging in his basement. Others were arranged on shelves. At a press conference, prosecutors described the scene as a horror movie come to life. Investigators also discovered remains of vastly different ages. So he wasn't picky. He was just picking. Whatever he could get into, whatever he could scurry himself into, like mausoleums and stuff, he was just grabbing and going. And some of the remains have been buried for more than 2 centuries. Others appeared significantly more recent. One reportedly still had a pacemaker attached.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Imagine being a forensic team assigned to sort through that.
No thanks. Don't wanna.
Right, but not only identifying remains, but figuring out where each one came from, which families they belong to, and whether descendants could be located. Because if you got stuff from the War of 1812, yeah, that's going to be a little difficult to figure out who that was and who they belonged to.
Right.
So one of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case is that the victims are not just names, but a lot of them do remain unidentified. Investigators have had to comb through handwritten cemetery ledgers and historical records trying to determine where these individuals originally rested, trying to reconnect them with their histories, trying to notify families. And like we just said, some cases, some of those family lines may not, no longer exist.
Right.
And these people survived wars, epidemics, economic depression, entire centuries of history. Yet their final resting places were allegedly violated, after their death. This trial is still going on, so I keep saying allegedly. But cemeteries are supposed to be sacred grounds, regardless of your beliefs, your religion, or whatever. You are supposed to be resting in peace, not being grave robbed and sold online to some sicko in another part of the country because they couldn't go rob them themselves, so they're going to buy some human bones and a skull of a child or something.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
As investigators continue their work, they allegedly connected Gerlach to additional incidents. One involved a damaged mausoleum, another in another Pennsylvania community. Evidence reportedly included discard energy drink cans and cigarette butts. Investigators collected DNA and fingerprints evidence for analysis. Meanwhile, prosecutors filed charge after charge after charge. By March of 2026, Gerlach faced more than 500 criminal charges. Among them were 100 counts of abuse of a corpse, 100 counts of theft, dozens of burglary charges, dozens of desecration-related offenses. The legal proceedings are ongoing, and like every defendant, Gerlach is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in court.
I know that's the saying, but I honestly feel like it's the opposite.
But they had his DNA
every
evidence.
person they arrest is assumed guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
It's not the other way around. No. You're not innocent until proven guilty.
But like they said, he left trash behind, cigarette butts, Monster energy drinks, all that stuff. It all has his DNA on it, on all these cemeteries.
Right.
So they're still going through these body parts, and you have.
So it's like you were definitely there.
Yeah, you were there. Why were you there? Why are all these bones in your thing? But you're saying that you're innocent and you didn't do anything, bruh. It's gonna come around. Why are you wasting people's time?
Yeah, there are people who are legitimately innocent of things.
Yeah,
and get treated way worse than this. So.
Yeah, and the hearing scheduled for March was postponed after the defense attorneys requested additional time to review newly discovered information. But this story is far, far from over. And Jonathan Gerlach was in kind of the goth scene community, and he was he hung out with a bunch of musicians. He was a musician himself, and people were he was just this normal, cool guy. But
little did you know.
My thing is, was he doing this as a fetish thing? Ed Gein did it as a thing because of his mother. It was, he was trying to.
Had mental health issues.
Mental health issues. What kind of mental health issues does Jonathan have? Is there something that triggered this? Or was it just out of pure, I can make money off this on the internet, so that's what I'm going to do? And
maybe he viewed this as a victimless crime because the people are dead, but that's not the case.
Right.
It really isn't.
No. And cases like this, fascinate people like me and you because they touch very old fear, not fear of death, but fear of what happens after death, I think. And fear that our memories, our histories, and our final resting places could be disturbed. So I don't think it's just about the stolen bones, but it's about the violation of trust. Because these families trusted that their loved ones would remain undisturbed. And that these burial places would protect the dead and nobody would come in there and mess with them. So as investigators now face the enormous task of restoring dignity to people who can no longer speak for themselves, and as this case continues through the courts, we'll likely learn much more about how it happens, why it happened, and how many families were affected. But, I mean, you're sitting there with I think it's around 578 counts against you. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, what were you thinking? Were you not thinking?
I was going to
You
say
know?
not thinking.
But I think, like, one thing is certain, like, Mount Moriah Cemetery will never be remembered solely for its history again. It'll be the place where that guy went in and stole a bunch of bones and mummified children, and just the bizarre, disturbing criminal investigations
Like,
that's going to go on. And it's going to become a place where people are going to go because they're like, oh, we need to go see this place now because of this. Yeah.
And I've, like, heard of grave robbing as far as, like, people going and stealing, like, jewelry and other things that are inside the casket, but never the whole ass dead person.
Right. Like, you're in there getting, like, great-grandma's diamond ring and brooch and, like, you know, some platinum fillings that were in somebody's teeth back in the day or something. You know, you're taking things that are value that can be sold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think bones should be that valuable where you're selling them online to people that are sick in the head because they want to buy human remains.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just extremely disturbing.
That it is.
I'm all for the gothic lifestyle, but that's not a gothic lifestyle. That's I can go buy a plastic skull from a store and put it in my house. That's different from actually going and buying a real human head and putting it in your house.
For sure.
Yes. So if you've heard anything about this case and you want to add anything, like, reach out to us, put it in the comments. We will speak about it on the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, we always like to have conversations about stuff we hear from everyone else. So
and this case is ongoing, so I will do an update episode, and whether it be a short one or maybe it'll have a whole lot of information from the trial, and I'll just do a secondary episode on it because I want to know the why, of course.
That's what everyone wants to know.
So hopefully we will get the why off of this case.
We shall see.
Yes, we shall. But do you know the why of why our ears are just so happy all the time?
It's our theme music written by Patty Salzetta.
It makes our ears happy. And we didn't have to go dig that up.
No, sure didn't.
She was like, ba-bam, here you go. And we're like, we love it.
Perfect. Thanks.
Perfection.
Yes, so you can send over, like she said, you can use the send a text because we can respond to those now.
Right.
It has changed. You can send something over via email at holdmysweetteapodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
You can reach out on social media or write a comment under the episode wherever you're listening.
Yep. And we did get a comment. I posted the episode I did with the priest, the parishioner, and the killer on TikTok, and we got a comment, and somebody was like, "Oh, I remember this one." So, like, comment on those TikTok posts.
Yeah,
we love it, and it helps us reach other people because the more you interact with us, even if it's just a quick like and a googly-eyed heart emoji, like, it still helps.
Yeah, it helps other people find us,
and it takes like 2 seconds to do.
Yep, yeah.
And we appreciate it so much when y'all do those things. But as always, Hold My Sweet Tea is a Drunken Bee production.
Bzz.
And you guys remember to stay safe out there. Stay out of people's final resting places. And just because we're dipping doesn't mean you can't keep sipping. Bye.